Elden Ring has only been out for 2 months, but that's more than enough time to start theory crafting, right? And with this interesting information that we'll show you today, it could be hinting at a possible future DLC. Now it's time for everyone to put on their tinfoil hats and let's get into it. If you have beaten Elden Ring or even have a decent amount of playtime, you have a pretty good understanding about great runes and where to activate them. You defeat one of the demigods, find their respective divine tower, make your way up to the top of the tower, and there will be a great rune for you to activate. These divine towers are spread in a circle that surrounds the center of the map. Your first playthrough, you probably didn't pay that close of attention to the very center of the map because you were too busy exploring everything the Lands Between has to offer and trying to gain that oh so coveted title of Elden Lord. Which is understandable because there is so much to do in this game, and if we're being honest with each other, being called an Elden Lord really just makes you feel invincible. But on the center of your map, there is one singular cloud that you essentially go to every side of whilst playing, and like we mentioned earlier, is surrounded by all of the divine towers. When we first jumped up on the top of one of these divine towers, we really didn't notice much, other than the jaw-dropping beautiful vistas and landscapes, of course. Being that high up though, your visibility is limited by fogs and clouds, but even more so towards the middle. From just one tower, your view is limited, but since you are an Elden Lord and nobody can tell you what to do, you can travel around to all of the divine towers to get the best view of whatever this cloud in the center is hiding. At first, it doesn't look like much. From a distance, it just looks like a giant body of water that's covered by clouds until you go to the divine tower in Caelid, which you'll be able to have the right to open once you defeat Starscourge Radahn and obtain his great rune. We're going to show you this awkward elevator ride to just really build the tension. Now that the tensions are high, we've made it to the top, and this is easily the clearest view from any of the divine towers. And you're probably asking yourself, what is so different about this tower? And the answer to that question is absolutely nothing, other than the fact that you can get a clear view as to what is beneath the clouds, which once again looks as if it is just a large body of water. But this is when things get really interesting and when the tinfoil hat really starts to fit on the head. When you're able to glitch outside of the map and your Tarnished somehow learns to walk on air, you're able to find and see something that is definitely out of the ordinary. Completely missing, if you will. When you first approach, it looks as if there is just a giant square that has a different texture than what it is surrounded by, which could just be a visual bug since you are somewhere you probably aren't intended to be. But as we take a closer look, you may start to realize that this might be more intentional. Could this just be a giant, perfect square that the developers just forgot to put in? Sure, of course, but what's the excitement in that? Could this be an area that has been removed because FromSoftware is working on adding DLC to the game and just thought nobody would notice? Our tinfoil hats think yes, plus, in theory, this is a lot more exciting. Obviously, we don't really have a great idea as to what this is, or could be, but there are some signs that do back up a possible DLC theory. For one, it is right in the middle of the map that is covered by a cloud that could easily be changed or removed. Two, it is perfectly surrounded by all of the divine towers that you can only access after defeating the respective demigods and getting their great runes and fragments of the Elden Ring. Number three, with how much stuff there is to do in this game and the insane amount of detail that FromSoft has put into Elden Ring, it just seems odd that they would just forget to finish the texture here of all places. Our hope is that this is in fact missing because they are working on putting some kind of DLC in. We don't really need an excuse to keep playing this game, but if more content is added, we don't really think any Tarnished are going to be complaining. Let us know your thoughts and theories on this and what kind of DLC you would want here in Elden Ring. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like and subscribing for future videos, and we'll see you in the next one.